Hi, my name is Julius. So if you're wondering about the title, so if you met me before, I joined CFTA 2 years ago. Right then, we didn't really know how to put all our mapping together. So it's been 2 years since then, since we joined CFTA. So I want to show you our progress and what we were doing in mapping before CFTA and when we joined and where we are at right now. So, just to start with, how many of you use GIS in mostly daily function? All right, and is there anybody here that wants to start up or boost a GIS program for their campuses? Okay, so hopefully the way we did it could help you if you can get some inspiration, just like how we got inspiration from CFTA. Okay, so here we go. So this is the whole UH system. Like my office, I got reorged into a system office. So all the pins on this map is lands that the whole UH system owns. My topic right now is our main campus, the UH at Manoa, which is in this island right here. I want to show you the app, but internet is kind of slow right now. So basically, this is Oahu, and so if we zoom in, over here is the Waikiki area, and a little bit north of that is our University of Hawaii at Manoa right here. Okay, some facts about our campus. Our main campus from last year is about 17,000, almost 18,000 enrolled. The main campus area is about 300 acres, but with 317 structures. We are in the residential zoning, so that means we have to get PRU and get a long-term development plan going on. And our rainfall, we are just northern the valley is a tropical rainforest, so we get a lot of rainfall, which affects our facilities. These are the systems that we have in place right now. So we have eBuilder for document management. We just started using OnBase. So we use ArcGIS. Our floor plans are in Revit, but our space management is in AIM. So Revit holds the floor plan and the building numbers, and we upload it to AIM via AIM CAD. And then in AIM is where we assign the classification, space classification, and the organizations. Work orders are also in AIM, and there's a homegrown Lokahi system. And for capital planning, we have a Sightlines by Gordon. And I want to show you just a partial hierarchy of our facilities group. So at the top over here is our UH, there's a vice president for administration. So she's like a hybrid main campus and system-wide. And under her are different directors. So we have our campus and operations, our project delivery, systems integration, our sustainability and space planning. And under systems integration, this is my supervisor, and that's where my hierarchy is right now. Over there too is our database admin and our eBuilder analyst and our AIM admin. So our goal as an office is to support the rest of facilities group, as we call it, for their IT needs and help make all these systems semi-talk to each other. And so we're getting integrated data. So before CFTA, I got involved with this in about 2013, first quarter. I was hired to integrate CAD and Revit with GIS as a student. So we got our CAD data, but this CAD data was done via photogrammetry. It was floating. It was not georeferenced at all. So first things first is I have to put it in its correct, semi-correct coordinate systems in CAD, and then we brought it into GIS and isolate just the road and sidewalks, and it comes in as a polyline, like so. And what we did was basically trace it in GIS so that we can have the casing and we can have that visualization. And then in Revit, we export it as a DXF, then get that DXF into GIS, exported that as a shapefile to get the polylines in, and use spatial adjustment. And at the time, we're just using high resolution orthophotos to place our floor plans where it should be on the ground. And so we did that for pretty much all of campus, first floor, second floor, just so we can trace the outlines of that so we can have the actual walls of the building. It's not a roof line. So we have like a reference on the ground elevation if we were gonna do mapping. And we did that for all of campus. So that's what we were doing before. And then we got an order to create a facilities campus map, a 36 by 48 wall map. So that's what we did. We just took their data, so the roads, sidewalks, and buildings, which took a while. And then we just started adding more and more data, like athletic layers, some water features, some surrounding buildings, and have like a box just for an info window. And then we export it all in Illustrator and put all the labelings, and it became a PDF 30 by 48 wall map that facilities use to find their building. So there's like a grid here, so they can look by building name or building number, and then they can see what the address is for that. Around this time, we also started experimenting with like web app builder over here, and then we just started doing different themes of an online interactive map. But it didn't really take off. Like we didn't really have buy-in, or we weren't talking to like the correct people at the time. So we were doing this, but it's just floating in place. It's not widely used. So, 2 years after that is a new topo came in, which means all the work I've done before from the previous topo I have to do again, because those two systems didn't line up. But the good thing about this new topo is it's georeferenced, so I don't have to change the coordinates in CAD itself. I could just isolate each layer. So for example, this is the V-site structure layer in AutoCAD. So what I did is isolate that layer, save it as its own DWG, bring that DWG into GIS and exported that. But sometimes what I found out is, for example, this V-site struct, it actually created right here 3 different feature class types within it. So I added like underscore LN at the last, so I know it's like the line feature versus the point feature, just so I can name it. The new topo also has established a campus-wide benchmark network. So the goal is every new project on campus would tie into these benchmarks. So when I get that new CAD, it should fit right into what we have. And also, it was based on point cloud data, and we got that point cloud, so I can use high resolution aerial photos and street view and manipulate the point cloud so that I can digitize my layers better and make sure it's accurate. So that's about what I was doing. So, redoing the roads again and the sidewalk and the buildings. Until about 3 years ago, university finally granted a full-time position for GIS. So that's me. I'll make almost 3 years tomorrow, actually. So it's good, yeah. And this is the first time they created a GIS position for administration. I mean, there's some for like academic side, but the admin facility side, there was no one doing this. So even if it's not me, I'm just glad that they created a position because our campus would really need it. So we're just trying to get to that basic mapping data that all you have on your campuses already. We're just trying to get there. Right? So about that time, putting more athletic landscape, putting in some like athletic lines, pavement markings and all that. Then finally, in 2017, there's a request from the UH VP for administration. So if you remember the hierarchy, she's the head of facilities. And she asked if there's a way to get to building documents via a GIS interface. And that's her ask, and we're like, yes, that's possible, but we can do so much more. So I did research, and about that time, my boss at the time, the space planner, Kevin Griffin, who is now at Boulder, introduced me to the CFTA YouTube page. So I went back to it, and I looked at all the presentations in the past that has anything to do with GIS, and I took screenshots and notes, and then I got pages and pages and pages of notes in one map from the work you do. So right now, I want to thank all these people that presented in the YouTube page, and I've met much more of you to, we wouldn't be here if I didn't see your presentation, so you helped us get to where we are right now. So I just want to say thank you. And we called our map One Map, which kind of coincided with Michelle's presentation back in 2015. We just call it One Map because we want one source of data. And also, we're like Lord of the Rings fans. There's a one map to rule them all. And we actually got to put that in the presentation when we were presenting this. And this is that presentation, actually. So we presented this in 2017 to show her. And I want to show you folks how we did it. This is just slideshow now, right? And remember, we're talking to people who do not know GIS and do not know what GIS is capable of. So we want that buy-in. So we said this is our mapping interface. It's going to be called One Map. And this are pretty much how it's going to work. So we have our Revit models. Our quali is our fiscal data, our PeopleSoft and grants that can plug into our AIM system. And in AIM, we can show it in One Map. We can also show a document repository, and that is now on base. Our e-builder, this part we have yet to complete because it involved just like a $100,000 API or something. So we cannot get to the projects by buildings yet, so that's on pause. Sidelines are condition data and our classroom utilization. Hopefully in the future, we'll accomplish that too. So this is how we made it. So once again, it's slides, but we took screenshots and developed it in Web App Builder. And the way we navigated it is as if it's working. So I said, okay, this is our application. There's links at the top here. But if you click on Hawaii Hall right here, there's a multi-tab view that comes up that gives us a property number, the address, the year built. And we click on the summary right here. It shows us like a summary of our space information. We can click on the documents and give us a list of documents and links. So we actually, like floor plan right here, we've actually made it a link so that if you click it, it goes to a floor plan. We can show conditions data about the building, the departments in that building, and more photos. And then we can close that window, expand this widget. If I click on thematics and conditions in that layer group, then all these conditions pop up. And what's driving the conditions? Why is this building green? Then we can click on that again. This Hawaii Hall, go in conditions. So the FCI, Facilities Condition Index, is low, so that's why it's green. So we're closing it. So these are just slideshows now, right? But I'm clicking on the map as if it's real. So we go to our assets right here, go our electric meters, and then we can click on this one right here, for example, and has the information. We can close that. Then we can show our, our vending machines, and we can show our emergency call boxes. And then we can also show topographic data, electric, the drain, and water. And we actually fooled people with this. They think it's working when it's just still a slideshow, right? So I think it's a good way to convey how GIS would work without, even if you don't have it built up yet.
So, did anybody ask for another building?
Not quite. So showing that presentation, we said, okay, let's go to CFTA, and they approved it. And we did have a lot of feedback, positive feedback. I met a lot of people. And one of the great feedback that I got is from Larissa and also Shane Matthews. she said it would be a good idea to enroll in the community base maps. So prior to the community base maps, this is our base map data for campus. So as you can see, there's not enough detail in the base map to do any kind of mapping or analysis. So after we enrolled to it, this is now what it looks like. And it's based on the topo, so it's more accurate. And if we zoom in here, then we have our sidewalk and road data. So if I'm mapping, I don't need to keep emailing layers back and forth to people that need the base map. They can just access it as is. So after we got to the conference, we wrote out the RFP. And while waiting for that, we just keep generating layers in the meantime. Then we got the contract awarded, and we picked our vendor. We picked Esri's professional services on the bid. And now it's just pending, waiting for the notice to proceed for the contractual language. And while that was going on, we started building up and setting up an enterprise GIS system. And so this is just a simple version of how our enterprise setup is. So for data, we do have different versions. For example, a road feature class, we just have an edit version, a QA/QC version of that, and the default. The edit version, different people can edit it based on their roles. So the simple editor can do it, and also the editor supreme, as I want to call it, which is can edit everything and also push those edits up to the public default version. That way we're protecting the data just in case we messed up with editing, then it's not going to be in the published version. And the published version, you publish it as feature class service or map service, which you then plug into a web map, which you then plug into a web app viewer. And with that, we created this buildings viewer, which my goal was to replace that wall map, because updating that wall map constantly takes a lot of time. I got to put in Illustrator and then print it out again. Well, with this, it's pretty much the same data. You click on the building, gives you the name, the number, and the address. And they can just also search via a search bar here. Sorry, internet is a bit slow. But yeah, it's pretty much how it works. We can search by building number or building name. So it replaced this PDF, which is very static. And also, the same way we can create a web map and application with our published data, we can also do one for the edit version. So for example, we created a refuse editor right here, which I gave to our landscape guys. So if they have to edit, for example, this trash can right here, come on. Let's see if it loads. Yeah, it's pretty slow right now, sorry. But basically, we gave them the tools to do GIS without having to learn the software. And because we created this base map, which is more detailed, it's enough data for them to move where the point should be. So we were doing that, and then last year we came to CFTA again to get some great ideas, and shortly after that we got our notice to proceed, which enabled us to start talking to our consultant for them to help us create the application to show our map is. And the target completion for this is next month. So right now we're in a user acceptance testing of our private application. So just want to show you folks what we got so far. So like I said before, there are two applications that we're developing. So this is the public-facing application. We have links here to the registration site, the shuttle. We have our buildings here. So if I click on a building, it's similar. So we have our address, the name of the building, when it's built, the different departments in that building. So this is from AIM. It's an AIM export, and it's a related table. And each of these is actually hyperlinked to those departments' websites. And then we have photos. We can search by buildings or points of interest. So if I search for a bookstore, then it goes to the location. So we have a customized pop-up and a non-customized pop-up, and different attributes for those points of interest, like the location, floor, if there's an email or website for that. And it puts the location of that points of interest. And if we search for a building, same thing, it would show us the location and the information for that building. So this would be really useful for students that need to know where the buildings are. And they can also do it via abbreviations. So if I just type in MSB, that's Marine Sciences Building, because in their class schedule, sometimes they would only have MSB 101, for example. So if you see that, you click on the building and you see the abbreviation right here, then they know that's their building. We also have different layers over here. For example, our transportation, our parking. So these are parking permit zones. Just different GIS. And right now I'm helping our campus arboretum transition their data over. They were using Google Fusion and Google Sheets. Now that we have an enterprise GIS set up, then we can show their data, and we want to just show it in one interface. So all of these are the plants on campus. So we can click on each one and we get details about it, like a session number, what their scientific name is, descriptions, and we have pictures of that species. So we want to get to the point where we actually have pictures for that specific plant rather than a generic species picture, but that's gonna take a few years, maybe. Yeah. I can give you the link once it goes, we go live. If we have time later, then we can play around with it more. So the value of that is, so we're consolidating data, public-facing data, into one map. So this is the parking PDF file for the parking permit zones. Then the one over here is what students print out to find their buildings. And this is what our campus map looks like right now. If you look for a campus map for UH Manoa, it's just Google pushpins. So it's very limited what you can do. And over here is our landscaping department's plant map. So we're all integrating it into one. And we also have an internal facing facilities map. So similar look into the public facing. On the top, we have links to our different systems like AIM, our OnBase, eBuilder, Sightlines, and our two construction notices. If we click on a building, it has similar information but more, like property number. The public doesn't need to know what the property numbers are. Then we have the year built, the gross square footage, the building type, if it's administrative or research. That's very useful for our project management folks, especially the TMKs. And we have a link to a floor plan right here. The documents is based on links. So all of these, so if I copy the link location and paste it to a browser, you can see right here is the building number. So all of our buildings have unique numbers that's tied to the AIM data. So we can link that up. And this doc ID type over here is how we know that that specific document is an as-built. And same with specs, O&M, submittals, and warranties. And our operations folks wants to see it by divisions too. So similar, these are all hyperlinks. The construction data before it goes to OnBase is going to be pulled from eBuilder. So this is going forward from now. Our eBuilder admin person is developing so there's no exceptions taken. So everything is submitted in its final form without like notices on the side, right? And once the project is closed out, and that's when they load it into OnBase and put in all the keywords so that we can link to it from this system. Our conditions tab is an export from Sightlines. It's just a related table joined by building number once again. So it could show us the different, like CRV, the current replacement value, and the backlog of deferred maintenance. So our facilities folks can get that data right away. Of course, the departments and photos. That's for buildings, but we also have it for campus zones. Hopefully this shows. We divided the campus into different zones. So for projects that we cannot tie to a specific building, we will tie it to that zone instead. So this Central West zone right here is the same documents type and divisions if we need it. So we can get to that. Now we're starting to put in some of our utility data over here, some of our campus arboretum data. But this is one of the data that I really want to push. So our CAD data, the consultant exported all of it into different sheets, and each sheet is 36 by 48. So I wanted to just take those sheets and georeference it. So for example, if I want to see a sheet that's in this section of campus, is sheet 02, they can just turn that on right now. And without opening CAD, because some of them don't use CAD or don't even have CAD installed with their computer, they can at least see the data. And combining it with the GPS tool, they can walk to that section of campus, and just as a glance, they can at least have an idea of what utilities exist in that specific area. So for now, until we can export all the layers from our topo into GIS, I think this is a good data for now for them to have. And if they need more information, then we can extract it and forward it to them. So the main value, main benefits is a faster way to find buildings and building numbers and the TMKs. They don't have to look at this wall map anymore. They can just search by the building number or building name, or if they know where the building is, they can just click on that right away. It's easier way to find floor plans. So right now we have our floor plans living in our planning website. They have to do Control F to find the building name or they have to scroll all the way down. So at least now they just go to that specific polygon. And also it's a better way to get to documents. It's not all in a box, like literally a box or a box folder or like a Windows folder. So it's just, we're trying to centralize information, get them easier. So future expansions, of course, generating more GIS layers. I started importing all our floor plans again into our system. First floor, second floor, third floor, and hopefully I can get all the spaces too within a year or so. We have the process for that, so at least we can look at all the spaces through all campus, for example, by organization code. Our geography department are in 3 different buildings and they're all far away from each other. So, if we want to consolidate them in the future, first we got to see where they are, right? We want to get more into story maps for our admissions folks, so they can do like a virtual tours. We want to do more UAS or drone images and capture. So this is just like an example. On the left is what the field used to look like, and this one is we just did a test flight for drones, and we can georeference it because we have the topo, and we have the tools to do that. And of course, we want to do like a routing and navigation. So right now it's just, we have a point for the building. We can have a point of where they are on the map. Now, in the future, we want the actual route of what sidewalks they need to take to get there. Of course, do more field apps like Survey 123 or Collector. And finally, apply this to our other campuses. There are 10 main campuses in our system. Our Manoa is our main campus, so it's like a pilot project, but we're hoping to expand it to the rest of those. That's it when we have time, so if you want me to elaborate more, please.
Does your registrar's office use any sort of scheduling software?
They use R25 Banner. We have yet to engage with them. Part of that is because sometimes their room numbering system does not match with the planning's room numbering system. Like we may have a room as 101A and they only have it as 101. So if we link those 2 rooms together, it's not gonna match up. So there needs to be more conversation on how we can just use one room numbering scheme, hopefully in the future.
Well, I was going to suggest one of the things we do at A&M is when students get their schedule at the beginning of the semester from the registrar, they get it electronically, and part of what they get is a link to our campus map that highlights every building they have a class scheduled in.
Right. That was suggested also by our campus help crew, and we do want to have that in the future, but we just want to get like a basic mapping at least to get started for campus, but that's a great suggestion.
Did you use web app builder, did you say, for that?
We used the web app builder when we were doing it in-house. Our consultant is using ArcGIS API for JavaScript for this application.
Really?
Hey, George.
How many, on either the public facing or the internal, you got a base map. Now, how many operational layers have you added to that?
Oh.
Stuff and stars.
I mean, we have our buildings, we have a points of interest layer, and then we have different transportation layer, like all our parking. I started putting it points on a map, parking zones. The dining is a points of interest layer. The trees itself, it's a layer, and also I gotta count. Dozens, I guess, and dozens, yeah.
You got a lot that's sitting on top.
And it can just grow exponentially, especially with the utilities. But I think for a first pass, we have enough data to start with. Yeah.
Your data from AIM, is that disconnected or is there real-time connectivity at all?
Right now, it's not real-time connected. So We have to look into that. So right now it's going to be, it's an AIM view that has the information we want to transfer over, and it's just a table join, then replace the value with that table, then push it up, and then export again. We're looking to if there's a way to make that more live. Yes.
For the floor plans that you're bringing in from Revit, do you just go through and clear out the old plan and then re-import a plan, or is there a way to notice just the changes that?
Oh, so the floor plans from Revit, there is a process where through Dynamo, the code takes the floor plan from Revit, takes data from AIM, puts it on top of a Revit file, and spits out a PDF. So what our admin guy is doing is the floor plan itself that's up to date is just using the building number.pdf. And if we have to replace it, he's gonna archive the older floor plan, like 1001 underscore the date, and then move it to a different folder. So that way, we're always linking to the latest floor plan. What? Oh, if you want me to go into more detail, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll be around all week. Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.